You're surprised PayPal is still around. In the last 4 quarters, they processed $1.7 trillion of payments. That grew 7%. I'm not sure the last time their TPV shrank, to be frank. I don't know anything about BNPL, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I don't like the product either, but that's not my job isn't to rate the product. I'm not a product rater. I'm an investor. I know what a firm is. I don't have an opinion. Yeah, a lot of people feel that layer of protection is a little too thick, so that's how I look at it. I kind of want to look at these fintechs like Fiserv and some of these other ones. If we're going to look at PayPal, we kind of have to understand payments and all types of stuff like that. Which one do you guys want to look at? Visa, MasterCard, ADP, or Intuit? Vote now as soon as I'm done. Okay, vote now. We can do Aiden in the next batch. Bill Gates rocks back and forth too. Yeah, PayPal's just dropped like a rock. I love these earnings features. Why are you typing in manually? Where do you think this data comes from? I hate people who know a little bit more than the average person, but then think they know everything. EM is the earnings command. Earnings metrics. Oh wow, Robinhood could be cheap. All right, you guys want to look at Visa? Let's look at Visa. You don't have much on Visa, so it's a good time to. Portfolio is up 1.2% for you home gamers. You got Robinhood at 23 times, 22 times next year, but you got to back out their cash. They got cash. I look at enterprise value. This Visa website is hilariously bad. Oh, Visa has the same format as PayPal. This is very intentional. PayPal must have copied these guys. All right, so this is fiscal Q1 25, which for them is December 31st, 2024. Yeah, unbelievable expense, business, I should say. Look at the margins. Would you just look at them? Operating margin, 70%. 70%. Yeah, gross margins basically cost them nothing. They got a hell of an installed base. Imagine having a business like this. Okay, we're not doing depreciation. My numbers are different for some reason. Oh, yeah, depreciation. Sitting here. Yeah, I mean, somebody has to come after PayPal. They're just making too much money. I'm not PayPal, Visa. And, that's, theoretically, it should be somebody like PayPal. What's amazing is they still have 10% revenue growth. Yeah, I'm not sure a better money-making machine has ever been invented than Visa. Look at how much PP&E they have. $4 billion of PPE that they earn $5 billion a quarter on. So $4 billion in a property, hard assets, which you could replicate like that. Any company could. Walmart, anybody. They make $20 billion a year on that $4 billion. It's all the network effect. People use Visa because people use Visa. Greatest network effect known to man. The store is not gonna uproot its payment system just to save 1%. And they make sure of it. The big disintermediator for Visa was supposed to be crypto, but it doesn't seem like it's happening anytime soon. Although Solana has the best shot of any. Visa is a great exit strategy for a lot of startups, but like the FTC had stopped them from doing anything. So now I think they should be back in business. Ryan McInerney, CEO. I wonder if the Class A versus the Class B, I have to go look at that stuff. Okay, they bought a company called FeatureSpace. They had an investor day. We should probably listen to that. Key business drivers. Do they give the number? I need the number. Yeah, well, they have transaction count here. And we can compare this with PayPal. It's FinTech Day here at... I need a producer who can switch between the studio, my face, and the computer. We're going to bring in a pretty girl, too. Sit next to me. And probably my girlfriend will call in and be like, stop looking at her. Stop flirting with her. I'm just kidding. But yeah, we need a good anchor, good co-anchor. I don't know if you guys want that or not. Let's see what chat is saying. And yeah, we put chat on screen too, and like certain spicy chat comments will go on screen. Baggy of the day. Oh yeah, there's so much we could do. Yeah, they'll break down different countries and stuff like that. I'm just trying to get a sense for what it is I'm looking at. I see credit, and I'm assuming this is year over year. I see debit, and I see total, but I see total twice, which is annoying me. I have pretty high conviction, but give me a minute. I knew Meta pretty well. I have to sort of get better at this for fintech and really payment tech. Oh, so incentives come out of payments. That's interesting. I mean, our studio would be in New York, so we need somebody in New York. I don't think Tiffany Fong, quite frankly, has the looks to be on TV. We have a relationship with FactSet. They are a service provider. No, I think we want some interesting, some financially literate and nice to look at anchor. That's what CNBC does. I'll be the smart one. Don't worry. Okay, here's the detailed data for Visa. Refinitiv's good too. Nobody said one over another. Refinitiv is changing to LSEG. No more Refinitiv icon. Okay, so much here. Okay, how do we do this? Let's start with total payment volume. Okay, total payment volume, wow. Okay, so total payment volume for the quarter was 4 trillion. That is, okay, so if you need a reason to be long PayPal, maybe this is it. Visa quarterly TPV is 10x that of PayPal. 10x. Visa's one of the biggest companies in the world. It's definitely not irrelevant. It's a long way for that to happen. So this breaks down between debit and credit. Yeah, but the kind of stablecoin transactions are not for payments typically. I'm up 115% this year. How about you, clown? Well, I guess it depends on how much assets you have, and did you make those all in one trade? And then, yeah, how much dollars are you actually up? That would be another important question. I think I'm up more dollars than you. So Europe transactions is less than half of the US, and maybe around 20% of total transaction volume. Somebody was asking earlier. So Europe isn't too big for Visa. And, you know, a lot of times when you think something's dead, it comes roaring back. So I don't know. It's not easy. 16 trillion in payments processed by Visa a year. MasterCard's pretty similar. So that 32 trillion in the trad payments processing. Then you've got, you know, just 1.6 trillion for PayPal. So they're doing about 5%. And some of that's probably double counted, right? So it grew from 15 trill to 16 trill. No, I like the software business. I don't need to be in the hedge fund or record label business, God forbid. Sort of transaction numbers, kind of. I don't even know. Let me look one more time, actually. So they give an awful lot up here. They give total volume, the growth on nominal constant currency, payments, which is a subset of total volume, growth there, transactions. Okay, there's transactions. It's kind of a weird total transactions, 77,456. Credit transactions, I have 28,271. Debit, 49,185. Total, 77,456. They have cash volume for each transaction and the amount of cash transactions, which is another smaller number. I don't know what that is, to be honest. Okay, they also have accounts and cards. Seemingly report that on a backward-looking basis, a little quarter delayed or something. It's a little bizarre. Accounts, cards. Yeah, Sarepta looks really cheap. You got to be patient. And everything's sort of a third credit, or fourth credit, and 3/4 debit. So debit's much bigger. So 293 trillion transactions processed on Visa. Think of those as swipes. 293 trillion. I wonder, I mean, how much does... Okay, so the amount of account holders should just be... I mean, it's here. It's 4 billion account holders and 5 billion cards. So we do a little math here. So the average card... Remarkable. The average card gets swiped 60 times a year. Does that sound right to you guys? I'm swiping mine 60 a day. And the average card is doing $3,000 or $3 a transaction. Does that sound right? TPV, cards. No. Total payment volume is 15 trillion. So I'm going to multiply this by 1,000. And each card goes through about $3,000. $56 on average. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, this is really good information, obviously. 60 a swipe. 60 transactions a year at 60 a swipe for around 3,600 a year processed per card, and 5 billion cards, 15 trillion total processed. That's roughly what we're dealing with. Or you got to spend more time, looking for new stocks instead of looking at the account value. Spend all this time staring at your P&L. You should be staring at some income statements. Go find the next good stock. Reminds me of the old chess adage. You find a good move, find a better one. A lot of people play the first good move they find. Sava, Galt, and Sava was around 800K, Galt was around 300K, and Quantum was around 1 million. Those are the 3 big trades there to go from 100K to 2.4. But that level of risk was unreasonable. I mean, that was an insane level of risk. That's, not something anybody should do, but, we called it a YOLO portfolio, and then I asked you guys, do you want to see more YOLO or something a little bit more realistic that you could copy? Because when you do the YOLO, what ends up happening is it's like driving a truck with no brakes or driving a car with no brakes. I mean, you're going to crash. It's just a matter of, are you going to crash with a lot or are you going to crash with a little? But you're going to crash because you're going in an insane speed. Now, Sava that's how the account went from 100K to 800K in that account. Yeah, I think, again, the question is, do you want to go ham or do you want to do something reasonable and scalable? Going ham is entertaining, but it's not really. What are you going to do, lever up and go all in every time you come up with a stock investment? I mean, that's crazy. You can't do that. I know some of you want to do that because you feel like it's the only way you can get rich, but it's not the case. That's why I like this thing. It's relatable. A lot of people have $30,000 throw in. So you try to find a process that you can actually do and repeat. And that's what I want you guys to copy, not the exact trades, of course. You're welcome to do that. But copying the actual process of, everything I'm doing here is pretty cut and dry. I'm looking at companies and listening to conference calls and reading the news on the companies and trying to estimate their potential success. And it's no different from what Buffett does. It's no different from what any hedge fund does. You have to get judgment over time to figure out, what might look good or what might not look good. Yeah, totally, Joe, totally. Some still. You got to learn it for yourself, too. I mean, to me, I didn't really fully absorb or even absorb any risk understandings for maybe 10 years, which really was not good for me. It caused a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of frustration. You just have to be really good at controlling that risk. Yeah, if that sounds familiar to you, go on the long compounding road. Don't try to take a shortcut. You try to take a shortcut, just like in real life, you'll get pulled over or you'll get to an accident. The guy driving slow and steady is going to win. I mean, Visa's 25 times any way you cut it. The question is, what are the real shares outstanding? Because there's a little bit of a discrepancy. If the Class A's versus the Class B's, etc., in which case it's more like 30 times if you look at that a little bit. Sort of like an extra 10% from the Class A's. Maybe the Class B's are non-voting or non-economic, I don't know. I feel like I'm really starting to understand the payment space. Internalizing the stuff is really helpful. I do want to read the 10K. I won't do that on stream though. But yeah, print out the Visa 10K and go read that. Your finance and business muscles will grow. Don't do a bench press. Visa instead. Listen to Shkreli. He knows what's good for you. Yeah, you got to keep going and going and going. Energizer. You need a break? Do something productive. Switch gears, switch your mental gears to reading medical literature or a textbook or something like that. Let's say, oh, my back hurts. I got to play Roblox or I got to go play Fortnite. That's what a loser will do. You want to be successful? You really want to be on top? More likely than not, you don't. More likely than not, you need some comfort. Oh, well, I need to play Fortnite. Need to relax. Meanwhile, your competitor is working, getting stronger, crushing you. Couldn't be me. The more stocks I look at, the more likely my portfolio is to outperform. Why is that? Can anybody answer? Why is that? The biggest baggies, how can I tell they're the biggest baggies? They're fixated on one or two stocks. Usually one stock, sadly. How do I know more stocks will make my portfolio better? There's a way. There's an obvious answer to that. Look at Breezy. complaining about data entry. I can't study the company, it takes too long. Oh, I know Wall Street's been doing this for 40 years this way, but I'm gonna find a better way. Yeah, baggies focus on one stock. I'm really an entrepreneur. That's my main vocation. But I'm a pretty good investor when I want to be. Starting companies is usually how I make my money. That's the wifey's job, is to spend money. S&P down quite a bit now, down 1.34%. We're seeing a lot of weakness out there. Weakness in quantum, a little underperformance in quantum finally. It's great. Even Nvidia now is down 76 basis points. Yeah, SPY's under $500. Yeah, I mean, I think Trump's sort of making a power play to put China into bankruptcy. I think China might have some problems that we don't know about. Although at the same time, it does feel like Trump wanted to do these tariffs all along. Trump might plunge China into deep trouble. I'm going to redo the finance lessons from years ago, 10 years ago, and they still make a mark. So I'm going to make a more modern version with a little more production. I don't know, Keith. They got a lot of debt. A lot of debt over in China, a lot of borrowing, a lot of housing that's empty. They can recover. They'd have to devalue their currency pretty substantially and print out a lot of paper. What about Chegg? I made money on Chegg. We bought it and we sold it. We made a profit. You know, we have finance APIs, right? Like, that's what we do. We spend millions of dollars on FactSet and S&P Global and NASDAQ. We have all the data in the world. When you're looking at a stock, it's a handcrafted masterpiece. Your Excel model has to be insightful. You're looking at data in large chunks, that's different. Yes, Abdullah, I'm sure you know what you're talking about. You got this, bro. You got this. Go, you're ready. You're ready. Go work at Viking. Goldman Sachs is ready for you. I could work at Goldman anytime I want. Shut up. Yeah, there's a big difference between doing systems programming and individual equity analysis. If you want to cover a stock deeply, I mean, you're going to have to spend a lot of time understanding the business. The model's the easiest part. I don't think Visa is very expensive. About 20 times. It depends on a few things. 24 times next year's number. It's definitely not cheap for limited growth. But I'm also curious about the financials here. Let me see the 10K, because I want to understand. You don't like it. I mean, it's been one of the best performing stocks ever. Well, that's expected. Which bonds do you own? Yeah, Visa's just insanely bigger than everyone else. Not really, Ken. They say they're growing 10%, but it does not showing up in the cash flow. Maybe it's just a temporary thing and it'll change. But yeah, the cash flow is a little lumpy. Yeah, I'm taking it pretty slow to start out the portfolio. There's the close. S&P down 1.4% for today. Yeah, I typically buy stocks that I find cheap. That is what I do. Well, we're up 1.4 for a week, roughly. So we still have, it's a permanent competition. We got very little exposure at the moment. So what are our Class B and C shares? What do those bad boys do? We've got long American Express, Google, IVVD, Meta, Nvidia, Farming, PayPal, Resolute, Sarepta, and Tarsus. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 longs, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 shorts. 9, 10 shorts. So it should be 20 stocks total here. 5, yeah, 20 stocks, 10 longs, 10 shorts. Biggest short is Rigetti, then IonQ, then INMB, then D-Wave, then QCI, then Capricorn, then Anavex, then RXRX, then MicroStrategy, then Huma. Biggest long is PayPal. Oh, you're right. I did buy way more than I wanted. That is funny. I will have to get out of that. Then Nvidia, Meta, IVVD, Google, Resolute, Sarepta, Amex, Tarsus, and Farming. Yeah, but thank you for pointing out that bank error. Whoops. That was not what I expected. I bought 10x, the PayPal I wanted to buy. Thankfully, it's a really solid stock and very, very cheap, so I got a little extra beta. But I'll correct that tomorrow. Chinese stocks are okay. Yeah, I'm not short GameStop. Chegg was whatever. I think probably the better long calls I've had. Yeah, Tarsus was good. Zoom, I don't know if anybody remembers Zoom. ZM was good. Of course, Meta was legendary. I haven't looked at many Polish stocks. Oh yeah, I gotta look at Duolingo. Of course I look at European stocks. I could correct it now. I could. Bid ask is $1 wide, so I don't know if I want to do that. Let me see if I could sell it at 58. Well, I bought it at 59. I'm gonna hold on for 50. We all want the maximal return, but we think we're ready to take the risk that gets us that return, but it's the risks you can't predict that really nab you. And in investing, you don't get to say, oh, oops, I messed up, let me take the trade back. Best thing you could do is go into your girl's purse. That trick doesn't work that much either. That's when you gotta change the trick. I put too much on Rigetti. I didn't know it could go up that much. Tell your story to somebody else. But it was such a good idea anyway. I could have made, okay, great. Doesn't matter. Only one thing matters. Did you survive? Did you thrive? That's when you make the fake tweet. I'ma resign, the whole company a fraud. Just like that. Tweet that. CEO IBM says, I'ma resign, whole company a fraud. Stock goes down 10%. I sell my puts. I make 50,000x. On this account, I'm not trying to do any drawdown until I've got a serious gains. I look at drawdowns as just investment leverage. So like I'm willing to go, within reason. I'm basically not willing to tolerate any drawdown right now. And in terms of once I'm up, say 5%, I'm probably willing to tolerate a 50% 50% of those gains. So a 2.5% drawdown. Then after say 10%, it probably most I can tolerate is say 4 or 5% drawdown permanently. But it depends, they may have to be a bigger drawdown to get those kinds of gains, especially if I find a really solid binary event trade. There's no real great way to prevent a drawdown other than stop loss. I'd say 60% win rate's pretty good, in which case, you can build good position sizes, you can take a little risk. We all want to take risk, but you have to really make it worth it. Yeah, all that Marek. Have you tried the earnings multiple function? I'm pretty proud of that, pretty happy about that.